I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Aha!
We did it.
Got him.
Got him. Yeah.
Back on our bullshit.
Yeah, sure are.
This is a fine podcast.
Just getting all the quotables out.
I'm just going to put them all out there first, you know?
Just get it off your chest.
Everyone who's here for the bits, they can go live their lives now.
Yes.
Bye. We'll see you later.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. Fast episode.
So long, and thanks for all the bits.
I am really excited to have a good friend of mine, my incredible friend Luis, here today on the show. Luis, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Luis, I love your YouTube channel. We're going to talk about it a bit. I do want to shout out, though, right before we recorded, I did watch your Death's Door review, which I hadn't seen yet. And I was so happy to see we're both aligned in how incredible that game is.
Yeah.
It was really fun to see.
It evokes so much love that I had for like top-down dungeon crawlers that I'm obsessed with this game. It's such a good game.
It really is. It's my highlight of the year so far. But this isn't a podcast about video games. Not always, anyway. Yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I imagine.
But before we talk more about your incredible YouTube channel and all the work that you do, we are going to talk about the most recent things we watched. And I, of course, as always, will go first. And I'm curious. I don't know. There's a chance that Rachel and I may have the same thing, or she may have watched something since. So we'll find out. But mine, of course, is the most obvious, the biggest comic book blockbuster of recent weeks, the incredible The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad?
I'm very excited to talk about this movie because, A, I still have not seen the first one after all the horrible reviews because I refused. And two, I did love Birds of Prey so much. I was so excited to get a continuation of that Harley Quinn. Mm-hmm. And safe to say and very easy to say, this movie is incredible. I'm going to avoid spoilers because it's only a few weeks in theaters, but it has been very obvious and promoted in the marketing that people die in this movie. Members of this team die. I'm not going to spoil who or any of that, but like, I love that that's been the pitch since Go with James Gunn, is that like, I'm going to kill people. I have all these ridiculous characters so I can kill them. And the cameos are even better than I imagined. The cinematography, the story, the writing, all of it was great. The characters were great. Harley Quinn is incredible. And while I don't want to spoil her arc for the movie, I will say that they touched on classic Harley and did some damsel in distress stuff without it really being damsel in distress stuff. And I love that. I love that she still kept her agency. She kept all of her individuality from Birds of Prey, but still let her have these warm, fun moments that they developed in that movie too. I thought her writing for this, as being mostly a side character in this movie, was quite brilliant.
Yeah. Isn't it fun to see character growth on screen and not between movies?
Yeah,
it
right?
happens and you come back and you're just like, oh, Tony wants to have kids now, I guess. I don't know when that happened. I hope he went to therapy at some point.
Yeah. I love that they really let these characters breathe. Also, I would die for King Shark. I just have to say that now. And if we ever get to go to cons again and I can start asking questions, the first thing I'm going to do is raise my hand and then just go, hand. Every time, because it's like I knew that line was coming and I still laughed out loud when we were watching. It was just, I think what was fun, it's a fun DC movie, right? And that's what I come to the DC movies, the DCEU at this point, like Shazam, Birds of Prey, this, Aquaman, all fun, mostly really stupid and ridiculous movies. And that's kind of all I'm okay just getting that from the DCEU.
I love big dumb fun. If that's what you're giving me, yes, I will take it. Second helping, please.
The DC universe in general feels like it leans so much more into its comic book just weirdness so far that the movies I'm not supposed to take seriously are the ones I am taking seriously and the ones I love the most. As opposed to like the world building and everything else. I'm like, I very much enjoy everything else that they're doing.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And like, it's why I'm leery about this nebulous Flash movie. Like, I love the Flash. He's one of my favorite characters, and I want it to be good. I want them to do a good Flashpoint movie, but I'm just afraid of exactly that, Luis. I think they're going to take the world building too seriously in that movie, and it's going to be boring or uninteresting. Like, I want it to be goofy. I want it to be silly. Like, and fuck James Gunn for continuing to make me care about characters I should have no business caring about. Like, he's just so damn good at that.
I really was very worried because the way you said that was so aggro. I was like, did James Gunn do something wrong?
No.
He just did such a good job. It made you mad.
Yeah, like I just all the actors are doing A+ work. I've said on this podcast before, I genuinely unironically love John Cena. Everything I've seen him in, he's been great, whether it's Fast 9 or Cockblockers. Like, he is delightful, and he is just so boneheadedly dumb in a Drax way in this movie. Like, just like we've seen it in the trailers, but like the field full of dicks line, like, so funny. He's just so good at being this genuine, like, straight-laced character who doesn't see anything wrong with what he's saying. Like, he does it so well. And like,
he's actual Captain America because his policy is our policy.
Right.
I would kill every man, woman, and child for peace. I love peace. Peacemaker.
So good. Also, like, shout out to the supporting cast, like Steve Agee. Steve Agee, who I've loved as a comedian. For those who don't know, he is the long-haired, bearded, large gentleman who talks a lot to Amanda Waller. He's on the computers a lot. He is a comedy legend. He was in the Sarah Silverman Show. He played Brian Posehn's boyfriend and then husband. Like, he's just so funny, and he's so good in this and gets times to shine. Like, I like Viola Davis as Waller. Like, she's just so good at that character. Just so good at playing this hard ass. I love the whole thing from top to bottom. It's such a great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pro it. I haven't watched it a second time, but I dearly wish to. It's because it's so. I know I keep saying things are like frenetic, but like this one is incredibly frenetic. Like it is just like flying at you like a mile a minute. You'd think this would be a very bloated piece, but it's not.
No.
It's a little weirdly edited, in my opinion, in the third act.
Sure, I can see that.
You know, and you can hear that in further spoiler detail on my other show, the Infinity Podcast. Scott and I just go way into this movie for the whole episode. But it's such a fun movie that even my minor critiques of it do not hamper my willingness and desire to watch it many times. It's my favorite horror movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, I think that the soundtrack kicked ass from start to finish. I feel like it carried the vibe of Birds of Prey, like bright colors, frenetic energy, and really great music. K-Flay featured for a second time. I'm a big K-Flay nerd, and like
I lost it.
Her on another DC soundtrack. I'm like, yeah, you get it. Get it, K-Flay.
Did you see K-Flay's Insta post about it where she was like, I was just floored to see John Cena dancing to my music.
I didn't see that. That's amazing.
I would be very floored as well, K-Flay. Good job.
I
also,
love
Can't
that.
Sleep is such a bop from the K-Flay canon. Ugh.
It's one of her best songs, and the fact that it's gotten so much play in different stuff, like, I love it. You know, I really love the whole movie. Also, like, I want to talk a little bit about Joel Kinnaman, who plays Rick Flag. Like, I hadn't known a lot about this actor for a while. And again, I didn't see the first one. I know he's Rick Flag in the first one, too. But, like, I saw Altered Carbon. And while the creator of Altered Carbon is a shit, the books anyway, the Netflix 2-season series was really great. And he plays the lead in the first season. And he's so good in it that I was like, oh, I want to see more stuff. And so to see him turn up here and be kind of silly and goofy and like still kind of the serious one in most of the scenes, like we saw in the trailer, like the scene where like they're rescuing Harley and he's like, oh, you gonna rescue me? I'll go back. Like, that exchange is so sincere. There is no hate or like making fun of each other in that moment. It's him and Harley having a sweet moment, and I love it. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah,
it's oh, go ahead.
I want to say he really evokes like the sense of a leader, but also is like comedically aware of like how dumb everything in this movie is. Like I think of like the TDK clip that they released where his arms like pop off, and they're just like, I didn't pick the team, I'm just here. Like I'm like it wasn't my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that this movie is doing within sort of like the, I'm going to call it an Elseworlds canon of DC movies, because I don't think that the Superman that embodies like the Snyderverse, Superman, Justice League, I'm not sold that this movie is actually happening in that universe, even if like Harley as Margot Robbie is in the bad one that's not fun.
Right.
Whichever one that is. There's plenty of them, but like it's interesting that this sort of lives in this really cool moral gray area where like the villains have these hearts of gold and they want to be friends with each other and they want to make connections, and like the things that they do that are considered villainous are like, no, I was just doing right by me.
Yeah.
I was robbing banks because I needed the money. I will have peace because I believe in peace. Again, even if I have to kill every man, woman, child to do it. It's really fun to watch that, especially sort of as a conversation with this very beleaguered, very sorrowful, very cynical DC universe of the Snyder, where it's like, these are the good guys, but Jesus, do they have none heart. Like, there's no heart here. It is all misery, all sorrow, all put upon heroism. If I could just not save people, I wouldn't. And over here it's like, yeah, they might have bombs in their heads, but they're gonna have a great time saving the world. It's awesome.
Yeah.
They're goddamn superheroes.
And like I loved Idris Elba's performance in this. I mean, Idris Elba is great in everything, flat out. And like, we are recording as of the biggest news in the world dropping that my favorite character in almost all of video games in the Sonic the Hedgehog sequel is going to be voiced by Idris Elba. Will be playing Knuckles.
Yep.
Watching all of my black friends who've been saying that Knuckles is African American canonically for years lose their minds has been so awesome. But like, seriously, put him in everything. I will watch Idris Elba forever in every movie. I don't care.
Is he a cyborg mercenary? I'll watch it.
Is he the voice of an echidna? I'll watch it.
I'll watch it. Are you?
Yeah.
Is he just hanging out? I'll watch it.
He was also gonna be like Superman at some point, wasn't he? Or that was like the biggest rumor for like a while.
It was a big rumor that he was going to portray an African American Superman, but like now there's like, it's been a nebulous rumor for a while. He was also originally rumored once to be playing Jon Stewart in a Green Lantern reboot.
I know I don't know how much of it was actually in like talks or just like a majorly popular fan cast, but like a conversation about him being a James Bond as well.
Yes, right. Yeah. So, I mean, just again, that's my thesis of Suicide Squad is put Idris Elba in everything.
Is Idris Elba the spicy brown mustard of actors? Because put him on everything.
I would subscribe to that because I put spicy brown mustard on everything, so that works for me.
I picked a good condiment for that. I love a good spicy brown mustard.
And I think in closing on this movie, like, you're right about the heart stuff, Rachel. Like, it really does have heart, and they give all of these characters growth, and also like a lot of people are like, oh, why do you like them? They're villains. You shouldn't like villains. I'm like, it's fiction, and people are complicated.
And also, morality is just a social construct. Like,
I mean,
go read some Nietzsche and marinate on the nature of morality.
I think, if anything, any well-written villain is a character that you can see why they're doing that thing. And if it's just like, oh, they're a bad guy because they're bad, I'm like, no, it's a very just one-liner character. But like Killmonger, you're like, oh, so much stuff happened to him, and obviously this is why he has his vendetta. So very much in the same case here. Everyone has like some sort of backstory, even though some of these characters might be in here for like just this movie. Some of them might be here for like the third time, and there's that character growth and progression. Like something I really enjoyed was like Harley's tattoos that were initially put on her for the first movie, and how like some of those have been covered up to be something completely different, or like the writing has been completely done where it's no longer like property of Joker but something completely different that empowers her.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I appreciate that they're continuing that, because not all of these kinds of movies do that. And I think also just like I joked about King Shark and how I would die for him, and I do love King Shark in this. I love King Shark in everything, honestly. Every modern portrayal of King Shark has been so great. Even the Flash TV show, like the effects in that were fun and wild. But like this version of King Shark, played by Sylvester Stallone, saying mostly one-word answers, a la a Groot, has like this is the superpower that James Gunn has tall, strong individuals that say few words, winning the hearts and minds. And it's astonishing. I'm like, and at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna love him because he's big and dopey. But then in the third act, when they have that scene, which I don't want to spoil, like I'm like, aw, like it's just it really. This is what I want from superhero movies. This is what I want. It's why I love Doom Patrol so much, which is coming back soon, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, also that news dropped today.
Yeah.
The trailer.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Like Doom Patrol is one of those shows like that gets to the heart of why we like these characters and why we want to root for these characters, right? And it's not always that they're good people, but it's that they have heart, which aren't always the same thing.
Yeah.
Though it can be. Yeah.
And even if they didn't have heart, to touch a little bit more on what Luis was saying about the nature of like villains, is no villain truly believes that they are in the wrong, you know? Like they may own, I am a villain, like let me be a villain. Like that's fine, but like if you look even in like the Disney canon, Ursula may be a nasty witch, you know, like a whole thing, but like she is a goal. Like it might be a power grab, but like she doesn't feel that she is wrong to want power, or you know, or what's his name from Pocahontas, who just wants to glitter, and he's just like, I just want gold. Like is that so bad? I just want to sparkle and be rich, and that's fine, you know. And I think that's what's really wonderful when you give any character a somewhat empathetic motivation, even if you don't perceive yourself as somebody who's like, oh, I want gold, oh, I want power, but you're like, okay, I can understand like why you might want that, but maybe don't like mess up a mermaid over it, you know. Maybe just like figure it out another way.
I also just want to shout out how Ratcatcher 2 and how her performance and the when they get into her backstory, like it's just so perfectly executed.
Yeah.
She was definitely a favorite for me. She was like my huntress, if you will, for this movie.
Oh, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, don't even get me started. Man, Huntress, the highlight of that movie for sure. So Suicide Squad was great. If you did or didn't see the first one, hell, I could say with this one, like Guardians of the Galaxy, if you've not seen any DC movies, you could easily watch this movie and enjoy it without a doubt.
Yeah, they're not leaving anything up to chance in your understanding. They re-explain the premise that they're in jail and they get time taken off their prison sentences by doing missions, but they have bombs in the back of their head so they can't run away. That's it. That's all you need to know. You're ready. Suicide Squad. Go watch it.
Yes, go watch it.
Well, do we have any final thoughts about the Suicide Squad?
I think that's it. I think we covered it. Anything else, Louise?
Probably top 3, at least DCEU movies so far.
I would agree.
Very fun movie. Go watch it at theaters or HBO. Just go watch it.
Yeah. See it both ways. Why not?
See it twice.
Do it. Exactly.
If you already have HBO, you already
stream
have
it at the theater.
in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, Matt, if you had to sum up the Suicide Squad in 3 words, without using the suicide or squad, how would you describe this film?
Bloody, brilliant, bodacious.
Ooh, an alliteration. Mark your bingo cards, listeners. We
Man,
did it.
I don't want to spoil it, but there's a scene in the third act with the big bad where it was the grossest thing I've ever seen. And like, I just, the way they take out the villain was
My
just.
heart soared.
It's
What beautiful D&D bullshit.
It was,
honestly.
but it was, but like, yeah, it was gross. I was like, no, I can't.
Loved it.
Anyway,
I was into it.
well, my dear co-host Rachel, have you not brought Suicide Squad? Have you brought another
I have
thing?
brought something else.
All right, excellent.
I spent a large portion of my time. It was very recently my birthday as of this recording. So I had many days to myself to watch things, and I ended up falling into a very weird reality competition show.
Of course you did.
Surprise! They found something wild as hell. So, you know, cooking competition shows, specifically baking competition shows.
I know of them.
And you know the craze of like true crime?
I do.
How would you feel about a reality show, probably filmed during COVID, about solving the mystery of what dessert was made and then making that dessert? Also, Joel McHale is there. I'm talking about Crime Scene Kitchen, an absolutely bug nuts reality show, hosted by Joe McHale, judged by who are they? Curtis Stone, a celebrity chef, and what is her name? Yolanda Gamp of YouTube's How to Cake It.
Oh my God.
Y'all, when I say this is bug nuts, I absolutely mean it. So the premise of this is you have 6 bakers in an arena, and there is a crime scene kitchen. This is the title of the show. And there are clues all around this crime scene kitchen. Like maybe there's some buttercream. There's some cake pans in the dish rack. There's some art on the magnets on the fridge, and all of these competitors have to like look at all the clues, figure out what dessert was being made, and then make it for the judges. And what is absolutely wild as hell about this piece is you don't win for a good bake. You win
if you
get the dessert right. So you could make an absolutely abysmal layer cake. But if it is a layer cake, you'll win even if somebody else made like a beautiful princess tort. But that's not what it was. Amazing. Absolutely wild. Also, you know how I said there were 6 competitors? There's 6 competitors in the first episode, and then at the last second they're like, and then we're gonna see the other 6 competitors. So there's there's like 2 groups, like group A of 6, group B of 6. So you're alternating between these, and group A is a much more fun group than group B. So you're kind of just like suffering through group B to get back to group A, and then they all come together when there's like just actually 6 of them. What a wild romp. I cannot say I'd recommend it, but I can say I enjoyed it immensely. Joel McHale probably shouldn't be the host of this because it's already such a sweaty premise that you don't need an energy like Joel McHale really just like not committed to it. You really need more of a like Nicole Byer energy who's like, yeah, this is wild, but you know what, we're gonna have a blast with it, because Joel is just too sarcastic, and you're just like, I can't connect with this premise because you can't connect with this premise. You know, you need the host to be like at least a fan of what's going on. Sure. And Joel cannot be a fan of anything.
Well, that's Joel McHale's brand, is being distant and sarcastic.
Yeah, I mean,
his whole career has been like that.
It really feels like Fox just gave him this show because he's been such a delight on The Masked Singer, and they're just like, maybe we should give him something to do. And then they give him this, and he does not belong there. There's only a couple moments where like his dry, sarcastic humor like really works. Like if somebody does a really disastrous bake, he'll in the next bake he'll be like, now remember, what you baked before was absolutely awful. It's just like, I can't believe you're saying this to these little babies who just
How
wanna
how old
win
are
money.
the people competing?
All ages, adults. I think like there's some like adult parent and child teams. There's like culinary like colleagues, you know. It's just a bunch of different strokes. Home bakers, professionals. Very very much like the everyone and anyone can be on this. So
Interesting. Yeah, I have not seen it. I've seen commercials for it.
Yeah.
But like I love Joel McHale. I genuinely do love Joel McHale. He's one of the few white guys I still like, but you know, there's time.
We'll see.
He's on notice. But no, I mean, it's no secret how much we love Community on this podcast. And so like I would probably watch anything that he does, and I loved The Soup and all of that stuff too. So like this sounds like something that I might enjoy for him, but I don't know. I have trouble watching reality shows, and especially reality shows about food, because then I just want to eat the food.
Yeah.
And I can't eat the food.
Yeah, it's the one thing I do enjoy about this one in particular, more so than like your Great British Bake Offs or your Top Chefs or whatever, is because there is an element of mystery to it.
Sure.
So you're kind of learning the elements of a bake based on what everybody's finding. They're like, oh, I see some lemon zest. This might be a that or a this, you know, and you're like, oh, lemon. Okay, cool. The one detriment to that is you, the audience, don't actually get to get a full tour of the Crime Seed kitchen. So you're kind of left to, if everyone missed something in the arena, then you also miss something, and so you might also be like super blindsided by what the actual bake is by the end. But most of the time it comes to at least like mid-season, everybody's like pretty good at this, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, everybody's making a pie, everybody figured it out. Good job, y'all did it. So that was pretty fun, because you're kind of sitting there and like hearing them rationalize why they chose the princess cake or the tiramisu or whatever, and you're just like, okay, all right, I think I get why you're doing that. And then you sit back and go, oh, you probably shouldn't be making a cheesecake right now. That is, you missed some major clues. So it was fun for that. I didn't mind missing the taste of something, because everybody's goal is less to make. I mean, they want to make something that's incredibly tasty, because that's going to be like your next step if everybody gets the bake correct, you know. But mostly you're just like, what is it? What's going to be revealed at the end? Who got it right? This one did, this one didn't. Also, the personalities are very fun, and even though they don't really interact with each other in the same way as like Full Blue, MasterChef, whatever, like they're all kind of sequestered to their own kitchens, which I imagine was a choice because this was filmed during COVID. At the very least, you get some very fun B-roll of them reacting to each other's bakes when they come out. And there's some really great personalities. There's a mother and son combo in Group A, and I would die for them. They're just like, they're ace detectives. The mother's hilarious. The son has so much shade to give, and I can't. It was a delight. I would watch a show just with those two. Like the way that she says things, she's like, we're the top detective. It just like lives rent free in my head. It was very dumb, but I loved it. That's all I have to say about this.
I don't have anything to add, since I've never seen it.
No follow-up questions. Yeah.
I've never seen it either, but I'm so curious to hear like what the writer's room was like. Oh, we got to come up with the newest show idea. Like, I got it.
Yeah.
The dude in the corner, or the person that was in the corner, just hasn't spoken the whole time. Like, I finally, my time to shine.
Yeah, and honestly, like, knowing that this was built this way to keep everybody pretty protected and safe, like, they do gather next to each other for the judging, but, like, most of their hours, they're all separated because, like, they can't know what the other people are baking. That would be a cheat. But one of the things that does stress me out is whenever people are in the crime scene kitchen, sometimes they'll taste stuff. And I know they reset the kitchen between each because each of them go in individually and investigate. But every time I was like, don't put your mouth on that. What are you doing?
You don't know where that's been.
You don't know where that's been. Don't put that in your... It might be buttercream. Don't put it in your mouth. Absolutely stressful. But the rest of it was great.
An important lesson we've all learned in COVID times. Don't put that in your mouth.
Don't put it in your mouth. Don't.
Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up crime scene kitchen in just 3 words without the words crime scene or kitchen, what 3 words would you use to describe this reality TV show?
Weird as hell.
I love that. Perfect. That's so good.
Like, that's it. Like, for better or for worse, like, love it or hate it, it's weird as hell. It's really weird.
Amazing. Love that. Nice and simple and to the point.
Yeah, I'm just ready.
All right. Well, it is our guest's turn. Luis, what have you brought us? What is the most recent thing that you, my friend, have watched?
So the most recent thing I've watched is one of my favorites. It's a oldie at this point, but it's a film I was introducing some friends to. It's called Her by Spike Jonze.
Oh, excellent.
I believe it was made by Annapurna in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I would describe it as like a character study about this man living in like possibly the near future in what looks like a futuristic Los Angeles cross Shanghai city. That deals into like topics of like relationship, like growing as a person, what defies a relationship, and the many attributes of one, and all that really like thoughtful relationship feeling type of writing, totally up my alley, and that's why it's also one of my favorites. I think it's like a very cinematic film that I think tells a lot without pushing like the envelope for like, in terms of like location scouting and how it tells story. It's very subtle in its details, from like its color grading. Like the way the film was shot was they filmed it in like apartments within Los Angeles, but then they green screened it out to have parts of like Shanghai and like the transportation systems out there. And it's like you might see the main character Theodore walking out of a building in LA, and they pan to another shot and suddenly he's in Shanghai, and he's like the odd one out with like a very red shirt, but everyone else is like monotoned. Little touches like that sort of isolate the character and put him really into his thoughts. And I guess the premise of the film is that it's this man going through a divorce. He works for this sort of like tech company where they write personalized greeting cards or letters for people, because that's something people do now, is that they hire people to write their letters to their loved ones for like birthday cards or like any type of like Hallmark event. And it's like an introspective thing of like, here's this man who is going through a hardship in his old relationship, feeling isolated, and is sort of personifying their feelings into their work. And this all leads to him one day adopting or buying an operating system for his computer that he ends up dating. And it dives into questions of like, well, what defies a relationship? Does it need to be between like a person and another person? Does it have to be physical? Many introspectives about that I think are still relevant to people dating people now. And I think it's just like a really well-written character study that, at least being like in my mid-20s now, I watched this when it first came out this was what, like 7-8 years ago. I was 17-ish, and I was like just a young teenager, still dating, becoming an adult. And the more I grow and the more I see this, the more insightful I think it becomes. And that's why I really like watching it every few years. Maybe something else pops up that I didn't really connect right away because I didn't have that experience yet.
Wow. Yeah, I've been hearing about Her for a while. Of course, this is the movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson, Amy Adams. I think it won a bunch of awards too at the time. I've been a fan of Spike Jonze for ages, and like long movies, short movies. I mean, like, I've heard good things about it and I've yet to see it, but the way you're describing it has been the most solid pitch for me to see it. I've always heard good things about it. And like, love or hate Joaquin Phoenix these days, and like, you know, the not great Joker movie aside, he is a very good actor, and like I've heard great things about this movie, and like I don't think I've seen a Spike Jonze movie since Where the Wild Things Are, which is a while, because that came out a while ago now at this point, in the mid 2000s, I think, if I remember correctly. But like I've always loved his work, and so I'm curious to see this movie. What would you say about it that like always brings you back to it? Is it just the core theme? Is it just kind of like the what the movie's about?
I feel like it's the introspective on what he's thinking about and how he interprets different things, because there are like shots where you see him, there's so many shots of him so isolated because he's always in his mind, and he's a very hands-off character in terms of like not wanting to interact with people. He doesn't feel like he associates with anything since his divorce,
Right.
and he's the whole film he's sort of putting off the idea of writing these or signing these papers to finally officially be divorced. And you see shots of him like in his bedroom by himself, or him walking in like a very populated area, but he's like just one off color. And these are shots that by themselves would be very just a person that's isolated, and you don't really think too much other than they're sad and lonely. But the way it's edited, they put in shots of what used to be his relationship and a lot of the great times, things that aren't strictly shown right away. You just see that he's going through a divorce, and you don't really know why. You don't really know if it was maybe as ideal as he sees it in his head.
Right.
And they slice in these shots of like maybe him like playfully arguing with his wife at the time, or maybe going to like a dinner party with his wife and his friends as he's in bed on his phone. And it sort of paints that imagery of like, all right, there is a story behind this. Like, it's not just a man that's getting divorced. There was like something there at some point. It may not be there now. And there's a great line in the film that I think really just is indicative of this film, but it's a line that says, the past is just a story we tell ourselves, which I think is very accurate. And I think the more I grow as a person, and I think back to any memories or relationships I had, I'm like, yeah, everything that I think about like a past relationship I've had, it's very much a story I'm telling myself, and I'm the one warping it to fit my feelings. And it's a very interesting thought, I think, especially when watching this.
Did it feel different having been isolated as long as we have now? I mean, like, things opened up a little bit for better or worse at this point, but like we were in isolation for a long time between probably the last time you saw it and now. Did that make the isolation of the movie feel any different?
For me, somewhat, but I had also been like in a pretty committed relationship since beforehand. But like like the person I showed it to was a friend that had come from New York, hasn't really dated anyone since they moved from New York to LA for the past year and a half. So pretty much the pandemic. And they're like, wow, this, like, the dating scene, at least for like a dating apps right now with COVID, it very feels reminiscent to this film, and how it feels like, oh, this person's like dating this person behind the screen, and it's very much like a different type of relationship, but like here are some attributes that are still relevant right now.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
Rachel, have you seen her?
I haven't, no.
Okay, I was curious.
It sounds like the complete opposite of Crime Scene Kitchen, though. Very thoughtful, very thematic, cinematic, The only thing I think that Crime Scene Kitchen and this have in common is, like, a very strong color palette. That's it.
Love that. Luis, if you had to sum up her in just 3 words and you couldn't use the word her, what 3 words would you choose?
Relationships are hard.
Good. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Accurate. Yeah. Good. All right, cool. Yeah, I've been wanting to see it for a while, and I don't know why I didn't at the time. I probably just missed it in theaters, but like, I've always heard good things about the performance. And this is before we all kind of didn't like Scarlett Johansson, though that was starting to bubble after that. So I'd always been curious about it, and it had a great cast. So I think I will finally watch it on your recommendation, because I've been meaning to. It's been on the list. Before we wrap up, which we've still got a bit of time, I do, of course, want to talk to you, Luis, our incredible guest, about your YouTube channel and your work.
Yeah.
So we met through mutual friends, Eric Van Allen, Ken Shepard, and Jesse Vitelli, previous guests of this very here podcast. And I honestly, I'd known you for months before I even knew you had a YouTube channel because we just met in this group. And I started checking out your work, and it's fantastic. You do mostly game reviews on YouTube, average between, like 6 and 10 minutes. How did you get started doing this? Were you in games journalism before doing the video reviews? Is this something that you've always wanted to do? Like, how did you get into doing YouTube videos about games?
So I'm 25 now, and I believe I started when I was like 12 or 13. So I've been doing this for a very long time, and it was very much a thing of living in California, but not where in California you should be living if you want to be in games. Somewhere off on the West Coast, farmland, nothing around. So I was like, I want to work in games. I love video games. I grew up watching like a lot of IGN, so I was like, I'm gonna try to work at IGN or be somewhere parallel to it at some point by the time I'm an adult. And everyone at the time was like, just do whatever you can. I was like, all right, well, I can't really do any jobs out here because there aren't any, but I will just write game reviews and put them up. I did that for a few years from middle school up to high school. Sometime when the Vita came out, I was like, I'm gonna write reviews too, so I'm gonna put them on the website. And I figured how challenging it is to write game reviews, write news article, which like more power to our friends who do that for a living, who write articles every day. I'm like, I know how hard that is.
Yeah.
Like hitting 10 news pieces, writing a review, and then writing or turning that video or written review also into a video review. Yeah. So much work. So after a few years of doing that to myself in high school, I was like, let's just only do video reviews from now on. And it's been like that ever since. It's opened up a lot of avenues. So I've collaborated with like Nintendo, Microsoft, a few third-party publishers. Very much independent when it comes to video game reviews. And I also now officially work at 505 as like a DevOps person. So you break Death Stranding or Control, I'm probably on the team trying to fix it for you.
Hell yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. So obviously, I'm going to assume that your videos aren't off the cuff. There's a script that you write. Talk a little bit about. Yeah, it's clear that me and Rachel are definitely not scripted, not even a little bit.
I've never been scripted in my whole life.
Never. I mean, that's not true. You've been in movies and stuff.
I mean, I've never been scripted. I mean,
That's true.
Like
I've
done scripts for people. Like I've acted, but like I don't write shit. I took every college course where I didn't have to write a paper because me and writing essays, not friends.
But I'm curious what the process is for making one of these videos, because obviously you're doing game capture and you're doing, a script and a voiceover. Like, how do you lay out, like, you get a code for for Psychonauts 2 tomorrow. How do you go about reviewing it? What's the process?
So at least when I first started off, it was very much off the cuff of just like playing the game, record a few hours of it. All right, my notepad has a few bullet points. Let's just make sure we talk about these points, and then let's hope I say things well enough. After a while, I was like, these reviews are bad. I gotta write what I want to say, so I make sure I hit everything I want to say. Started writing reviews, and I guess the process is, so if I got Psychonauts 2 today, I immediately start playing it as soon as I can, and I capture most of the game. If it's like a short indie game, I'll probably record the whole thing and then just choose what I can use depending on like embargo details, whether I can go beyond like the first few hours or not. But I tend to capture like at least 80% of the game, and that just means I'm here at my desk playing all the time. And at the same time, I'm jotting down notes like, this thing happened at this point of the game, or like, I really like this specific detail, write this down and describe how it made me feel in that moment so I can capture exactly what I meant when it happened to me. And then once I'm done with the game, I'm very disorganized with my footage because I end up having like a couple 100 gigabytes of what is gameplay. And then when I'm in the editing room, I'm just like, all right, so that point was at the beginning of the game, so it's probably in this clip. No. So I definitely have to get better at organizing my gameplay. But it is just the process of like recording everything I can, beat the game, and then referencing my notes for how I want to write the review. And at least the way I organize my reviews, I split them into like categories, so it's a little bit easier to write stuff. If you're just doing like a written thing, you kind of need to make sure everything flows into each other pretty well. But for my case, it's just like, all right, here's a description of the game. This is what the story was like. Here's what I thought about the story. Here's the gameplay part. And so it's a bit more organized. And I find that, at least for my audience, they find it pretty useful, because sometimes, like, if it's like a game port, maybe they don't want to hear what the gameplay or story is like because they've already played it on something else. They just want to know how it performs. And vice versa. Like, sometimes there's a game that people just want to know the story if it's good enough for their interests, and they don't want to know about the gameplay because they don't want it to be spoiled for them. So they'll just sure to watch the beginning part. That's the general process. It's usually juggling a few games. That's not always a fun time. A lot of deadlines, so I'll usually try to hit the games that are due first. And if any developers or publishers send like a game way ahead of time, I'll try to get those out of the way so I don't have to worry about them. That's always appreciated. So anyone that's watching this that works in PR, the bigger heads up or leeway we get to play something is always the better. Always a fun time to beat the 60-hour JRPG in like 4 days.
Jesus. Yikes.
I love binging a game, but this sounds... Whew.
I think that's probably one of the biggest feedback pieces I get, or I tell people when they ask me, like, oh, so what is it like playing a game for review? Like, you play games for work, that must be great. I'm like, yes and no, because sure, I'll get GTA 6 a week early, and I'll get to play before anyone else does, and it's free. That's fantastic. But then imagine trying to write a 10-minute essay on it and conjugate your last 80 hours of playing into like this little 10-minute video, and have it be like not just something rushed, something that people like enjoy and want to watch. And that's like really the challenge of it. So like sometimes there are those moments where like, oh, I love this game, but I don't really want to write about it. I just want to just let it soak in. And I mean, that kind of just comes with the job.
Yeah. I mean, you said during when you were talking about your process that you beat the game. Is that important to beat the game before you review it?
I think if it's like a story or like a single player game, yeah. The only times I've never beaten a game, at least for a review, was if it's like a live service game. Even then, sometimes those games have like a campaign that's rather short. I beat the campaign, and then I try to do like post game stuff, like if there's like an after section of the game, or maybe like a quest or a raid opens up, like we're playing Destiny, and I would play a little bit of that for a few hours just to get a gist of what I'm playing for. There are moments where like we get a multiplayer game and we can only play with other reviewers, and so we don't always have enough time to play something thoroughly. So then I would try to delay the review past the embargo. But I do make it a habit of at least beating the campaign of whatever I'm reviewing.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I used to put so much pressure on me to finish everything I played, and I'm still trying to complete as many games as possible now, just because I like to see things through. But I feel like now, as someone who is not reviewing games on the level that you are, it's nice to know that. Also with like TV and movies, we talked about this. Like, I don't have to finish something if I'm not enjoying it. Have there ever been? I imagine there must have been games that you've had to suffer to get to the end a little, like games you just didn't enjoy that you're reviewing that you just got to slog through to get to the end.
Homefront: The Revolution lives vividly in my brain. I was on that couch playing it in front of this TV to my right, and just for like 5 hours, I'm like nauseous. I want to throw up because like the frame rate's so bad, and like the camera is locked on the character's head, so there's like this weird wobble effect. The frame rate's bad, and I'm like, oh, it physically hurts me to play this game. Like I want to throw up, so I would play it in like 2-hour bite sections, and like my girlfriend at the time would come in, she's like, are you okay, are you sick? I'm like, I feel nauseous. I feel like this game's giving me motion sickness. And it was just like, I gotta beat it, because I hate asking for a game for review and then not beating it and then not reviewing it. It's like a bad record to have. So and I also don't want to be like, hey man, I couldn't beat your game, it's bad. Like I don't want to be that guy either. So like, but then there's also like the catch-22 of like, no reviewer ever wants to purposely write a bad review of a game. Like it's not fun. So sometimes we're friends with PR, and sometimes it's out of our hands that they got dealt this game and we just had this game to review. So no one ever wants to be on the bad end receiving of that. So it's never fun to have to play a game you don't want to play either, for sure.
Yeah, I am on the receiving end currently of a game that was not great, but it's still in its early stages, so I'm hopeful it'll get better. But like, I had to have a conversation about this game that wasn't great. But I mean, I find also if you're talking to people who are making the game, they'll sell all the passion for you. I feel like it's different when I'm interviewing people making games. I feel like for you, Luis, it sounds like the game's bad. It's bad, and you just have to tell people why. But that's what I like about your reviews that I've watched, is that you're incredibly articulate about why you do or don't like something. You don't just kind of go, this sucks, and move on. Like, you're what a proper review should be, informative. Mm-hmm. You know, I mentioned your Death's Door review earlier, a game that I loved and played the hell out of as soon as I got my hands on it. But if I hadn't, like, what I loved about your review of that game is that you made it very clear, especially early on, that you love this game and you're going to share why you think it's great. And people didn't have to stay to the end of the video to know that you kind of were going to give this a good rating, even though the number came at the end. Is that a conscious thing to make sure that folks kind of early on know exactly how you feel? So if they want to go play it, they can just go play it?
Yeah, I don't like BSing my audience, despite like the YouTube game is to have your audience watch the whole thing.
Sure. Despite
that, I'm very much like, I put chapters into my reviews, so it's like, you want to see where the score is, it's right here at the end. It starts at this second. And I don't like wasting people's time. I think if you respect people's time, they'll respect yours. Likewise, those that like know my work, just like I have people that tell me like they just want to see what I think of a game. Just like they might already own the game, they just want to see what I had to say about it. And I think the real draw for my reviews, at least why I love doing them, is having those discussions afterward. Mm-hmm. Because especially like if someone's like, oh, I didn't know about this game, I'm going to play it right now on Game Pass. I'm like, great. Make sure you come back and then tell me what you think, because I want to know everyone's thoughts about this. I want to, like, if you had a different opinion, let me know. Or like if you saw something I didn't understand or didn't like have an attachment to, let me know. Like I wanted to see all those different perspectives. And that's really the real reason why I enjoy writing game reviews, because it was that time of like being in a small town where not many people played games, no one worked in games, and no one was like, here's what I deeply thought about Mario. Like, everyone's just like, oh, y'all play that new Mario game? Yeah, it's fun. You could throw fireballs in that one, and he's in space this time. So way deeper conversations about that.
Yeah, I will say, as someone who is a consummate review watcher on YouTube, I often find, and I would assume and hope that your audience is the same way, that if someone whose opinion I value says, this thing is really cool, I'm gonna spoil it, so stop here and like go see the thing, I will often do that. I will go see or watch the thing, and I will return to the review, because I'm like, okay, you put me on the path of this. Like, I'm not kidding. Crime Scene Kitchen happened for me that way. Sarah Zed released a video about it. As soon as she started talking plot points of it, I was like, nope, I gotta go watch the show. So I watched it, and I went back, and I finished the Sarah Zed review. Very, very good thoughts, very good stuff on there. And that's really fun, because it's, and I don't know how much of this is just like, I'm a misanthrope, or isolation is real, and you have to sort of find your conversations where you can, but like, this idea of like, it's kind of a weird conversation you're having with a creative. Although it's filmed in the past, you're watching it in your own time. Time is a lake, you know. You're still kind of having an interaction, because all of a sudden you're just kind of like pausing and going like, I really see what they're saying, or like, I'm not so sure about that thing, you know. And hopefully your audience is putting those thoughts down in their comments, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I really appreciate that respect for time and that desire for conversation. It hopefully doesn't just fall to me to agree with you on that, and I hope your audience feels and does the same.
Yeah, you brought up time too, and that's probably one of my favorite things to bring up too, is that I'll put up a review that I did for a game 3 years ago, and I guess this week the game is on sale in the eShop, so a lot of people look up reviews, and mine comes up from 3 years ago, and they're like, just bought this on the eShop for like $8 instead of the $60 when you reviewed it. Great game for $8. And I'll pop it up on my YouTube application. I'll reply back, and they're like, whoa, you're still replying to comments like 3 years ago. And then that's a whole other conversation that's always fun to have.
I love that. Yeah, I think the interactivity of an audience is key for that kind of stuff.
It's true. I do have a question. As someone who has truly versed themselves in the art of reviewing and understanding games, what do you think is sort of the most important aspect that a game should have to be successful? If it gets this right, it's gonna do well. You know, kind of like how if you bake a bread, it needs to be proved and it needs to rise. And like the bread may turn out like okay on flavor, but like if it doesn't rise, it ain't bread. You know, what do you personally feel is that sort of like core importance for a game? If there is one. There may not be one because there are lots of games in lots of different ways. Top downs, platformers, whatever, you know.
I've always been in the camp of I think a lot of my friends are, but games are art, and with many arts, there's always like an intent of a feeling or some sort of emotion, and I think that's very much how I see games. Whether it's Mario or Halo or The Last of Us, maybe if you're playing Breath of the Wild, maybe the emotion being evoked there is just like a sense of exploration and how there's curiosity and it rewards you for just wanting to explore. In the same sense, like maybe you were a kid and exploring your backyard or something. The Last of Us might be a more narrative-driven game, but it wants to evoke understanding and knowing that there's two coins to every story or two sides to every story, and knowing that maybe neither one of these people are justified entirely by what they want to do or what their actions are doing. But understanding what like the intent was behind the game. And I really like that. That's why I find myself so driven towards like narrative indies, because they seem to always be these story heavy games that evoke some sort of like feeling that not a lot of AAA games I think are hitting as of lately. That's why I love like Annapurna a lot, because they seem to be doing that a lot for me lately. But I enjoy just really introspective games that nail at what they're trying to do. Sometimes it's just like forgetting about something bad and just enjoying your time and having a fun time playing like a platform or something. Sometimes that's feeling sad, sometimes it's feeling happy.
Yeah, I think for me lately, my game experience is determined by the game I'm playing, less than like if I'm playing a Mario game, sure, story would be nice, but for the most part, I just want to go through a level. I want to see the mechanics. I want to jump around. Like I want to play in the space. But like I'm still playing ongoing the Yakuza series, which I've mentioned before, and like I go to the Yakuza series for the story and like the two sides of that coin. Like it has this serious drama in the main story, and then all the side missions. Like one of the side missions in one of the Yakuza games is you're teaching a dominatrix to be more fierce and powerful. Like it's just I love that those games do both. And like I'm playing Yakuza 5 now, and in the middle you play as a child character who's now a teenager, and she's going to be a pop star idol, and you do like rhythm game mini games, and you compete in a pop star idol contest. Like, and I love it. I'm eating it up.
I have to play this game.
The Yakuza
there's
games are
dominatrixes, there's rhythm games.
They're all on Game Pass. They're all on Game Pass. Go play them.
I will. I'm currently revisiting Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, and
excellent.
It's one of those games where, like, yeah, it's pretty, like, fetch questy, very, like, you know, I'm kind of stunned at how few sections there are, because I'm coming off of Breath of the Wild, where I'm just like, oh, there's this whole world, and, like, there's mountains and rivers and all of this, and it's like, no, you've got Farron, you've got Lanayru, you've got Eldin, that's about it, you're good. But, like, even then, it's still so rich with, like, you want to help the side quest characters. You want to find the little girl. You want to deliver the soup, you know? I love that. I love when games are just like, I'm going to turn on your empathy machine in the worst way, you know? And that's what I love about film and television, too. It's like, I'm going to make you empathize. Here we go, you know? And, like, I always RP, like, the sweetest little boys, you know? Like, in Persona 4 Golden, there's always options to be kind of a dick, and I will always refuse to be kind of a dick, because I'm like, no, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't know if Undertale ruined me or not, but I'm just like, I believe in the in the inherent humanity and empathetic nature of all of these characters. And I think that's what a really good game will do to me. Make me just go, I love you. I love you, Bruce. You're a jerk, but I love you. You know, I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm playing Skyward Sword for the first time. And like having played Breath of the Wild first, I now know like this is Breath of the Wild 0.5. Like
this
the
is
stamina, the climbing, the exploration in the open areas, like it is absolutely the formula to which they use to perfect Breath of the Wild. And that's kind of wild to me. And like I love the game so far. The sword mechanics are rough, and I think there was no good way to port
they were
that.
even more rough on the Wii because like
I'm
the
sure.
motion sensor of the not Joy-Con. I was just like flying around Skyloft, and I was like, I don't know if I got better at games, but like I sucked at flying when I played this 10 years ago.
As a game reviewer, that feeling comes up a lot. You're just like, man, I really played this game when I was a kid. And I suck at this remaster. Like, what is going on?
Right. But I'm better at this game now. I don't know if it's like the Joy-Cons are more sensitive to the movement, but like I'm dying a lot less, and that's great news.
Nice.
That's great news for me. But Luis, I do want to know, and this might be a trite question, but I'm always curious, and I want to know what your experience with games is. But what's a game in recent memory that really, really surprised you? Like you thought you knew what it was gonna be, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh my god, this is more than I ever expected." How dare you, game? How dare you be this game?
There are two games that I didn't expect to get into when I first heard of them, and then when I saw like trailers, I'm like, this is great. This is pretty good. And then I played them. I was like, everyone has to play this, and that was Sayonara Wild Hearts and Tetris Effect.
Oh my gosh, I have played Sayonara Wild Hearts like twice already. I cry every time.
I love Sayonara Wild Hearts so much. The music is great, the level design is great, and the little narrative behind everything, fantastic. I was obsessed with that game when it came out, and I kept telling like all my friends on different Discord servers to play it. Up until like one day, I just brought my Switch over. We were all talking around the TV. Plot my Switch while everyone's talking, ignore everybody. I just start playing it in front of them. Everyone's having their own conversations, and then like 3 levels into it, they all stop talking and start watching the TV, and they're all paying attention. They're slowly understanding, like, wait, this is a story about her. Oh, and she's realizing this. Oh my god, it's a story about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Everyone went home and bought that game after that, and I was so happy.
Good. Yeah, everyone should play Sayonara Wild Hearts. Like,
It's been on my short list for a while. I really need to play it. I know.
It's a pop album that's a game.
I know. I've heard. It's on my list. It's on my list. I promise.
I can beat it, and that's saying something.
You can beat the whole game in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I was doing a charity live stream, I played it for the second time because I was like nearing the end, and I was just like, I need something that's gonna like get me to midnight that I know I can beat, and that will like keep me from falling asleep. So it had to be Sayonara Wild Hearts, and like at the end, like you're doing the last level, and like all the stuff is happening, and I'm just like, I'm crying.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
This is such an emotional journey. I can't.
And as I recall, Luis, you did an episode of Side Quest about Tetris Effect, didn't you?
I did.
Ooh.
It's a very meaningful game to me where, for some reason, this was like, E3 2018 or 17. Sony's having I think this was Sony's like actual last E3 conference. And they're just like, we're going to announce a few PSVR games before the actual conference. So I'm like, oh, this is probably just some pre-show stuff I'm not going to care about. And they came out with this really well produced trailer for Tetris Effect where you hear like a narrator speaking about like a medical report or study of how they got a bunch of people with like short-term memory loss to play Tetris, and how miraculously all of them remembered seeing blocks in their head or dreamed about blocks in their head. And it just perfectly describes what the actual term Tetris Effect is. It sent like just goosebumps on me. I was so excited to play this game. E3 was like the next day. Went, booked my appointment, played it, and I was like, this game is awesome. Everyone has to play this game. It came out, played it. It's also like another hour and a half experience. But I wrote like a piece on Medium about it because there's this song that is in the first level that is also in the end credits of the game, and they end up adding like a few extra lines in the end credits that completely changes the meaning of the song from like you would interpret probably that song when you first hear it as like a couple, like, oh, it's like a lovey-dovey couple. It's like, oh, cute relationships. You play the game, and by the end of it, it shows like planet Earth, and you hear like birds chirping. It's like the sense of life. And then a few lines change up the meaning because suddenly it's now not a couple. It's a mother singing about her newborn child. And it completely changes the meaning. I'm like, wait, very different. Then you go back and play it again, and you're like, oh, there's like imagery of like whales with their kids in the beginning of the level. Oh, it's a very different type of song. And then like suddenly it just hits harder.
Oof.
Oof. I was super into that game.
Damn.
It's on Game Pass, and they added multiplayer. Go play it. Highly recommend it.
Awesome. Well, Luis, thank you for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Before we wrap up and ask you our final question, first, why don't you tell folks where they can find you and what you do on the internet?
You can find me at youtube.com/LuisGVN. That's LuisGVN. And I write video game reviews. If you want to find me on other social media, I'm pretty sure it's on my About page on that YouTube channel.
Cool. Awesome. Definitely go check that out. Go subscribe and comment on those videos, but only say nice things. And yes, go check out Luis's stuff. It's all great. He's a great person. If you are unsure about a game and how to gauge it, he will help you out. Before we ask you our final question, we do have some people to thank. So,
Yes.
Rachel, we should thank those people.
Thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bug for our awesome show art. We love you, Katie.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, Katie.
Yeah. And thank you to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network. You were here still, like, in the ranks, having a good time. The Certain Point of View Podcast Network, great shows, really, really great ones, greater than this fine one.
Yeah, I did mention earlier SideQuest, which is on my part of my video game podcast, Fun and Games. Luis did an episode on Tetris Effect. We've had a bunch of great folks both within the network and outside the network doing awesome short episodes about games they love and why they love them. So you should definitely go check that out. You can find that and all the other podcasts that we partner with at certainpov.com. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server where you can join in the conversation about video games, comic books, TV, movie, all sorts of stuff. You can see me freaking out about the Knuckles announcement in real time if you're on that Discord server.
Amazing.
Also, if you want to get in touch with us, you can, of course, reach out via Twitter, which is at @screen_snark, or via email, which is screensnarkpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Also, if you got a chance,
Rate, review us on iTunes. Do
Yes.
that.
please. It takes
Thanks.
2 minutes, and it really helps us to get featured so other folks can find us.
I'll give you this for free. Just give us 4 stars. Say it's a fine podcast.
Perfect. We'll take it.
We'll take it. I'm in.
We'll take it. I'm in. Let's do it.
Well, Luis, the final question that I have to ask you, it is my sacred duty to ask. If you could choose any one trope prominently used in film or television to instantly and magically become true in your life, which trope would you choose?
I don't know. Give me some protagonist armor. It's been a hard year.
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
That's good.
Ooh, we all deserve that. You know what the greatest protagonist armor of all is? Getting vaccinated.
Yes,
There
go
we
get
go.
vaccinated right now.
Bam.
Do it. Thank you again, Luis, for
Thank
joining
you,
us.
Luis.
This has been
Thanks
a
for having
pleasure.
me.
I, of course, want to thank my beautiful, stunning, vivacious co-host, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I want to thank my weird as hell co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
That 3-word review probably fits better than most at this point.
Yeah.
And of course, we want to...
It's great that works as like a positive for you, but maybe not so much for Crime Scene Kitchen.
Right, exactly. And of course, thank you, listeners, for being here with us. We love doing this show for you. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora.
Did you know Rob Thomas has been writing since the mid-90s?
The Matchbox 20 guy?
No, the guy behind Veronica Mars.
Oh, and iZombie.
And Cupid, Party Down, the Cupid reboot.
I haven't seen those.
Me neither, but we should watch them and then talk about them on our podcast.
Yes. We could call it the Rob Thomas.
No, not that one.
Robcast.
Every other Tuesday with Alex and MJ.
Find us at notthatrobcast.libsyn.com or wherever you download podcasts.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.